Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Son of a Blitch podcast. I'm your host, George Blitch. Today, I sat down with Chet Garner, who is the host and creator of the television show, The Daytripper. Many of you who have seen this know what it's about, but for those of you who haven't, Chet travels all around Texas and finds little pockets of the state where maybe they have some really cool mom and pop restaurants, some awesome scenic overviews, the best watering holes to go to. Basically anything that you can imagine in Texas that you'd want to visit, he's going there, he's exploring it, and all the places you didn't know about, those hidden gems, he's found them, he's turned those rocks over, he's shown you what's there, and really inspiring you to get off your couch and not just watch his show, but recreate it with you and your family. It is a family-friendly show that is phenomenal. It's one of our family's favorites. I highly suggest you guys go check it out. Go on over to thedaytripper.com and see what we're talking about. There is a phenomenal show waiting there for you to explore. And you can also go check out his podcast. There's also an app that shows you all the different places that you can go explore as well, too. We have all this information and more, and we're going to be talking about his journey making this TV show and how he got inspired to do this and all of the things that he's got going on, because there's a lot. Anyway, you guys stay tuned. I hope you enjoy this. I loved this podcast. It's been one of my favorite. Chet, thank you so much for being a part of that. Well, let's roll. Here we go. Good morning, Chet. How you doing today, man?
I'm great, George, man. Doing well here in Georgetown.
Awesome. Yes, Georgetown. So how long have you been in Georgetown?
Let's see. So my wife and I moved here with our family about 10 years. Yeah. So 11 years ago. So we've been here. We moved immediately from Austin. We had 2 kids in Austin and lived in this little shoebox of a house on the east side. And we make the joke that as soon as we decided we wanted to have a third kid, we got served an eviction notice from the city of Austin that, you know, our carbon footprint had gotten too big and we had to move to the burbs. And so we moved up here, had 3 more kids. And so now we're just, this is home.
That's awesome.
At some point, it feels like I hadn't been here that long. And then other times, you know, feels like I've been here forever. So.
Well, I saw that you were actually at a pretty cool event this last weekend, over the Easter weekend in Georgetown in the square. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, dude. So anyone who listens to Christian music, I assume you know who was there, but Torrin Wells he's one of the biggest names in Christian music. And my family, we've been Torrin Wells diehard fans for a long time, because you can't turn on Christian radio without hearing one of his songs.
Right,
his songs are just everywhere. And it turned out we probably found out about this around Christmas time. Got invited to this little thing in someone's living room where Torrin and his wife, Lorna, basically shared their heart. They're going to open a church in Georgetown.
Really?
And so we're like, what? You're like one of the biggest touring artists in Christian music now. And he's like, we just feel called to a local church. And to kick off this, or sort of announce that they're going to start a church, they had a Good Friday service on the square, and I got asked to be the MC. So Torrin and his band played, Pat Barrett played, Aaron Cole played, and then Torrin he's a very gifted preacher, very gifted, you know, a man who kind of can write lyrics, and he's poetic, you know, he's got those same skills when it comes to just speaking. Anyway, it's going to be pretty crazy. I kind of you go, what? Really? You know, of all the things you're touring now, you're on a nationwide tour and you're going to settle in and become a local pastor, but that's what he feels called to do. So, like I said, I was honored to be part of it. We had about 4,000, despite the rain and the cold, maybe 4,000 people showed up to worship.
That's a
Jesus
great turnout.
It was awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, you do a lot of different guest MC stuff. I mean, I know one of my buddies, an electrician, Mark Pendleton, was just involved with, trying to remember the name of it, but it was basically an area that works with horses and works with people who are kind of with youth and veterans and such. And you were just doing that a few weeks ago, right?
It's been a busy season. Yeah, that's another charity that I support, and I MC their gala every year. And they do amazing work. It's called Rock Ride On Center for Kids. But they help more than just kids, but it's horse therapy, which I kind of wrote off as a bunch of hippie stuff. Like, what are horses? What? What's the magic in horses? Like, I mean, they're just an animal. But I like it's run by Dr. Nancy Krennic, and she's got all these papers that are published from her and other people who are way smarter than me. And there is something that happens when people ride horses. A lot of it can't be explained by science, but there is a ton of science behind it. And so they take veterans with PTSD, cerebral palsy, autism, all kinds of issues, and it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, man, it's pretty incredible. I know a few different groups that work with equine therapy, and it's something that is very beneficial. So that's really cool. I mean, you get called around to do all sorts of different things. I mean, it sounds like, and you've had quite the history, man.
It's like this is something so strange, but like I just wanted to make a show about eating barbecue, kind of like and jumping in swimming holes. And obviously, like, I had some deeper meaning. I wanted to inspire people to appreciate what was in their backyard. And then, like, as soon as you're on TV, you start getting all these really random calls like, hey, will you be the keynote at our event? I'm like, I don't keynote speak. What do I speak on? They're like, I don't know, just something. I'm like, oh, okay. So keynote speaking turned into emceeing, turned into all kinds of stuff, just, appearances. And it's been fun to kind of like figure out sort of where this, meandering path goes. It's not for the predictable type A sort of people, to do this, because I have literally no idea what's going to come into the inbox every day.
Sure.
So it's fun. Another highlight recently was South by Southwest. Everybody knows that the Music Interactive Festival during spring break, which is just a couple weeks in the rearview mirror. I got asked to MC an event called Sunday Service. It was the first time in South by's history that the gospel has been presented at a sanctioned South by event. And so you had Lecrae played, the CEO of Intel, Pat Gelsinger, spoke, and that just drew this crowd because, he's the CEO of Intel. So all these tech people just wanted to hear him speak. And then what do you know? He hits them with this right hook of like, it's not just about producing widgets. It's about having a noble calling in your profession. And so and then it was awesome. I was just, like those are those pinch me moments. Like, what the heck? Why am I up here on stage with the CEO of Intel? I'm just the Yahoo in the cowboy hat.
Well, let's rewind to talk about your pedigree and your elevation of who you are, because I think for some people who aren't familiar with the Daytripper and everything you do, can you just tell them a little bit about the show that you host and what the concept is all about, and let them know, because you were invited and you're there for a reason. You are a staple here in Texas, and I just want people to know more about what that is for those who are first time listeners and aren't familiar, maybe.
Cool. Oh yeah. So my main gig is I make a Texas travel show. So it's called the Daytripper. It is we go on one-day adventures across Texas, and it's on PBS. We're also starting to put full episodes on YouTube. So that's been a wild ride as to sort of where the audience is for this. And we show people, the idea is if you got in your car and you went to this town in the, random town in the Panhandle, random town in South Texas, random big city, like if you went there, what would you eat, see, and do if you were there for a day? So we build a fictitious day trip. We usually has barbecue in there somewhere, a swimming hole, some kind of local weird history. At some point, I'm dressed up in some weird costume, reenacting some, historic gunfight or something. And then, it's been fun. So we've been around 13 years. Like I said, on PBS. That's like about 150 something episodes that we've made. And, in some ways we're just getting started, sort of. But it seems weird, again, like 13 years. It's funny. I have people who look like grown adults come up to me now and they go, "Oh, Chet, man, I love it. I grew up on your show." I'm like, "What? No, you didn't." And then I'm like, dang, do the math. Shoot. They were like, they were little. I mean, they might have been 6 years old, now they're 19. So
they
crazy.
might have tuned in at the very beginning when it was still the Austin Daytripper, because at the very beginning, it was just about the day trips you could take within a couple hours of Austin, right?
Yeah, that was the idea. You're OG, man. That's not many people remember the Austin Daytripper, but that was it. It was, We pitched it to Austin PBS, and so we needed a local angle to sort of get the Austin PBS station on board. And so it was like, all right, where can you get within 2 hours and get back home before dark? That was it, And very soon we had all the other stations in Texas that were showing interest. And I was like, and they were like, we want you to make a Dallas Daytripper or a Houston Daytripper. I'm like, dude, no, I can't clone myself. I'm dying. Like we're literally killing ourselves to make this one show. And I'm like, y'all just need to air the Austin Daytripper. And they were like, well, Chet, let me explain something to you. We're in Houston, and the people in Houston don't love Austin as much as you think we love Austin. It's like Austin lives very myopically. They're in the middle of the fishbowl. They think they're the center of the universe. And the other cities, they're just sort of shake and roll their heads. So I learned very quickly that like Austin is a certain style of city, and the rest of them, I thought, man, everybody should want to come to Austin because I went to University of Texas, lived in Austin, and then very quickly learned that, they could take it or leave it. That's sort of the weird little hippie bastion in the middle of Texas, and they're doing just fine in Dallas.
Well, you've got the whole, Texas is a huge patchwork to be able to, dive into. So you kind of diversified that and probably extended
it was a blessing
all your shows,
right? It was a blessing in disguise because then it was like, oh, cool. So season 2, we went into the first season and clipped out everywhere where we said Austin, and some of those didn't work so well. So you're like, this is the Daytripper. So if you look real quick, you can see there's some spots in there that it was pretty nasty edits. But it was a blessing in disguise because it allowed us to sort of take a step back. And then it was like, oh, wow, I'd drawn this bubble on my map. And that show would have been done by now. But, seeing all of Texas, I can ride this pony until I die. Right?
Absolutely. Well, you've gone to almost every county in Texas. Isn't that one of your goals? Like, is that a visiting goal, or is that someday you want to do a filming in each county? Because you're getting close, aren't you?
So I'm about 15 counties away, maybe less, maybe 14 or 15 counties away. So Texas has 254 counties, and there's an exclusive club called the 254 Club if you have visited all 254 counties. And people assume like, oh, Chad, of course you checked that box years ago. Like, no, amigo. Like, look at a map. And when you actually start drawing on a map, like, okay, legitimately, here's the counties that I've been to, and here's the ones I've never set foot in. You're not going to make it as far as you think, because there's certain routes you take to Houston or Dallas, wherever, or El Paso, or if you're driving to Colorado, there's routes you do that. And you don't just go and zigzag through the panhandle to pick up 20 extra counties. So when I started this little challenge, I had way less than 200 counties.
Wow.
And I'd been doing the Daytripper for 10 years. And so you gotta, there's some that are out there, man, out there.
Absolutely. Wow.
Are you in the 254 club?
I'm not the 254 clubs, and I'm not sure what happens. Do you get knighted? Do you get like a special like cowboy hat, a belt buckle? What happens?
No one will tell me. So I think the only way to find out is you do it. I assume Governor Abbott, like as soon as you do the last county, he pops out of a bush or something and like knights you. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, I was thinking they might name a state park after you, but there already is a Garner. So it's like, what are you going to do? They got to figure something out.
Tell the people at Garner that park is named after me, because when I show up every summer and ask for the family discount, they just roll their eyes.
I figured there's free admission for you and your crew, man.
Right? Nope.
Have you done an episode there yet?
I haven't. That one is one. I think I've just intimidated myself out of doing it. I need to, but we go to Garner just about every summer as a family, and I'll be there this June. It's just such a special place, and it's got so many people there. I'm like, I don't know if I want to tell anybody else that this place exists. If you don't know that Garner exists, you're fine.
Yeah. No, it's great. We were just there for spring break, man, and with the family. We loved it. It's such an amazing state park.
Oh, it's great. It's great. How's the water? That's what I'm worried about.
It was actually, It was pretty decent. There's some of the areas where you drive over where you kind of got the elevated road and stuff. The water's still coming over them. And
okay. All right.
I was surprised because you drive down some of the Sabinal and different places there too, and it's just dry.
It's rough. I drove by the Blanco River yesterday and it was barely trickling. I'm like, this is when this should be at its best.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So
anyway, no tubing on that one.
We'll be dragging our booties all the way down the tube chute. So who knows? My kids don't care.
Yeah, they're like, that's fine. We'll have a good time anyway. Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of rewind back and talk about how you first got into filming and storytelling. I know that you were a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout at that, and that you kind of grabbed your granddad's camera and you were doing a bunch of filming and storytelling around the campfire. I just want to know a little bit about your origin and kind of getting involved in that kind of production too.
Sure. Man, I fell in love with storytelling really, really young. And I think that happened around the campfire. So being a scouting family, the part of the camp out I loved the most was when we would gather around the campfire and our scoutmasters would tell ghost stories or, whatever, war stories or just whatever it was, Indian folklore. And so that always just intrigued me. And then when I discovered, probably in 4th or 5th grade, my grandpa's VHS camera, I was sold. So he had, one of the bazooka cameras.
Oh yeah. You used to film on one.
You were there. Yeah. We're the same age. So there's a bazooka camera. The thing was, weighed 50 pounds. You slung it on your shoulder. And he would actually let us run around with it, which was very unlike my grandpa. But we would have to find a VHS of, whatever that my grandma didn't have soap operas on it that she wanted, to they were General Hospital people, live and die. So you couldn't take a certain few, but if you had an old one, she'd look at the dates scribbled on the VHS and you're like, all right, we can make a movie on this one. And so we would go out with my cousins and just make the dumbest movies of, One Man from the Cane. These are all classics, Robin Hood had come out with that shot where the arrow is, in front of the camera going through the woods. Yep. We can do that shot. So we get our little Boy Scout arrows and have these big, cowboy and Indian battles. And I mean, that was when I was just sold. So you just kind of kept doing it. When I found out that I could make these really stupid movies with my cousins, and then, you've never laughed as hard watching them. After you make them in the backyard, we got to go watch what we made. And you come in and you put it in and you're just, you're in stitches because you're laughing so hard because it's so bad. I thought, man, I want to do this with my buddies back home. So just found a friend who his parents had a video camera and we just started making movies. My whole high school, if there was a free day on a Saturday, we would just get it and we would just, they were dumb. Attack of the Killer Space Noodles from Mars, parts 1, 2, and 3, George. So there's 3 of those. Yeah.
It's a trilogy?
Yeah. It's a trilogy, man. One of the lesser celebrated trilogies in film history, but those that know.
And when are those going to be airing? Please tell me that these have been digitized and they're ready for us.
Yeah. Oh, they're covered in copyright infringement. So, we're
sure.
The death track would be Beat It from Michael Jackson or something. And those can't make it to TV ever, which is a true tragedy. In
some expensive royalties there, man. Yeah. It's not like the early 90s is sampling and hip hop of everything. And then all of a sudden someone's like, we can make money off this. So we're not going to let that happen anymore. That's too bad, man. Well, I got to see some of these. I have a stack of VHS tapes from all my days of video production with my buddies and still frame animation stuff. They're horrible.
Oh, they're so bad, but man, it is
so great
entertainment.
It is, man.
Entertainment. So that was where it was, and then film school. I kind of was on video journalism at my high school, and thought, oh man, at that point, the idea that you would make this independent film was that was the holy grail of filmmaking. because you had all these people who had blown up onto the scene. They'd gone from these obscure nobodies into these cinematic heroes because they pooled money, made a bunch of films. So Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, some other guys in that era. And I'm like, man, I got to learn how to do that. And went to film school at the University of Texas. Oddly enough, I thought I wanted to be a doctor and a filmmaker simultaneously. I didn't know how that was going to work. But my dad was a physician. My brother was pre-med. And I thought, I'll just be pre-med at UT, but you can go to med school with any degree. You just have to do the prerequisite science classes. And so I thought, so I'll just major in film and then do all the organic chemistry and junk like that. And that's what I did for 3 years of undergrad. Like, it was kind of like hedging my bets, right? I was like, filmmaking, that sounds like a long shot. So, yeah, I probably should have a backup plan. And then that was going to be being a doctor. And then it occurred to me, like, in junior year, I was like, wait, how long is medical school? And I just had you don't get out and be a doctor and then go make movies? So I was like, oh man, that's a racket. I got to find something else. And so I knew, of course I knew that. I just hadn't emotionally dealt with it. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go to get an MFA or anything like that. But I wanted to continue my education. And so I thought, law school sounds fun. I'll just do that. So that's what I ended up doing, which is so dumb, but it's the path I traveled.
Well, and that took you to Baylor. And right. So you also, I'm curious about what it is that you wanted to necessarily do in that field. And I know you took your studies seriously. You graduated first in your class, did you not?
I did. Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly?
Yeah, very unexpectedly. Baylor's known as the Marine Academy of law schools, and it is terrifying. It's the stand and deliver law school. So you get in there literally for orientation, like, hey, welcome to Baylor. Your locker's over here. We're excited about learning together. They made you stand up in that class and they kicked people out of orientation because they were unprepared. Like flippintation. And so that sort of set the tone, like, okay, these guys are serious. And so every day you were just terrified that if you got called on, you were going to have to stand up, explain, this one footnote in the 300 pages of reading you had the night before. And if you got it wrong, you got the boot. Or worse, you got assigned a memo. Or worse than that, your whole row got assigned a memo. Or sometimes it was the whole class that got a memo because of you were unprepared. It was terrifying. So I wasn't trying to graduate first in my class. I was just trying to survive. That was my singular goal.
What was it that you wanted to do with a law degree? What was your goal when you got into that?
I think what convinced me to go to law school was like, law sounds pretty open-ended. Mm-hmm. At that point, there were all these people. I was like, wait, that person's an attorney. That person's an attorney. Like Mike Leach was the head coach at Texas Tech. He's an attorney. I was like, oh, wait, you can go, you can kind of go do whatever. There were some other people that are, John Lee Hancock, who had directed The Alamo and some other stuff. Like, he's an attorney. And they're like, oh, huh.
That's I can still do film. Right.
Yeah. Like, I guess when you're an attorney, like, you just kind of like get to do cool stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'll go do that. And thinking that entertainment law would be like my back door into the industry. Mm-hmm. And so I intentionally tried to get jobs at places that had entertainment law on their as their focus. And so you do this clerkship in law school where between your second and third year, you get these jobs at these law firms. The idea is like it's an extended job interview for like 6 weeks. And so did my clerkship, got a job at a firm called Fulbright and Jaworski in Austin. They had an entertainment law division. I was going to join the entertainment law division. And then I showed up and I was like, oh, sweet. I got entertainment law on my business card. How are we going to do this? And went and talked to the partners. And they were like, oh, no. We shut that division down. That wasn't making any money. I'm like, Oh, great. But it's on my business card. It's like, oh, yeah, I mean, you can go do it if you want to make us a lot of money. I got nothing. So I found myself doing trademarks and copyrights, which is not unrelated. It's intellectual property. Mm-hmm. So it was a good experience to teach me that I did not want to be an attorney. I'll put it that way. It's one of those places. Like big law is a tough business. It's a meat grinder. I bet you of the 25 attorneys that started with me at that firm, maybe 2 are left. Maybe. So that's it.
Well, you did that for what, 3 years, right?
Just about 3 years.
And then
but it was like 6 weeks. I mean, I was there. I mean, honestly, it was probably 2 weeks where I was like, oh man, I gotta pull my ripcord. Like I didn't think that being a big lawyer was going to necessarily be my end game, but I didn't want to rule it out. I was like, well, I might actually like this job. But about 2 weeks in, I'm like, no, this is not, I'm not going to like this job. And so I started planning my escape route because, I heard this and it maybe is like kind of a cheesy coffee cup saying, but it stuck with me. It was, it's better to be at the bottom of a ladder you want to climb than halfway up one you don't. And so I was thinking, man, I'm going to put in all this work to climb halfway up this ladder at this law firm to reach a top that I'm not even interested in getting to. So I was like, I've got to, get off the ladder. I'm on the wrong ladder. So what ladder is it that I want to climb? Well, I've always wanted to make movies, tell stories. And I thought, well, what's my route in? What's something I'm passionate about? Because if I'm going to go for it, I better go for it. And about then I felt like, this idea that like I've traveled a lot in undergrad, that so many people were overlooking their own backyard, that if we could make really good travel content about Texas for Texans, then we might really be onto something, because travel content was huge at that time on Travel Channel, but it was all the same junk, Rome and Chicago and Miami. And if I'm lucky, I'll go to those places once in my life. But I want to know about Dripping Springs and Stephenville and, Port Aransas. And that was sort of like going, oh, man, I bet you I'm not the only person who wants this content. So concocted this crazy idea that I was going to make a Texas travel show, and PBS seemed like the fastest route to television. I got to pull the ripcord. I had to do it as fast as I could. I didn't know anybody in Hollywood. All the people I knew in Hollywood were at the bottom of the ladder, just like I was. I didn't know, I didn't have money to go and buy time on a television network. And then it kind of became like public access was there, but that, it's public access. It's just not right. Like those shows are strange. You're next to the person who sews doggy clothes and the guy who makes, crystal shoes. And so I was like, man, that there's probably PBS shows that do both of those things, honestly. I was like, PBS seems somewhat like credible. I bet you if I'm on there, I could figure it out. And so we that first summer, so I was there about 9 months. Well, not even 9 months before we had filmed the pilot episode of what would eventually become the Daytripper. No.
So what does that look like? And that's the Waco episode, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
what does that look like as far as you assembling that team? Like, you got this idea in your head, but are you hanging with your buddies on the weekends? You're like, hey, we're going to do this. Or is this something where you had to go and find people and then kind of get those pieces and parts together?
Well, it was, man, God just provided. Like, it was my buddy who I'd gone to film school with, Nathan Locklear. He's in the first couple seasons. I'd kept in touch with him. Of course, I didn't own a camera at this point. Certainly not a camera that would be broadcast ready. He just happened to be the equipment manager at Austin Community College. So Austin Community College has state-of-the-art film equipment, and it was sitting in this closet, and he was the guy who had the keys. I'm like, Nathan, hold up. And Nathan and I had worked together on some projects in film school, so we were buddies. And then I was like, I've got this idea for a show. I want you to be part of it. Do you think we could use the gear? He's like, yeah, well, let me go and ask, let's ask the dean. And of course, they were super supportive of it. He knew a guy that could do audio. That was Richie, who was with us for 10 years. And then I just needed someone to kind of crack the whip. And my wife was there. We didn't have any kids at this point. So I thought, get in the van. And so that was the original crew. Couldn't, I didn't pay him anything but barbecue, really. And we went to Waco to make an episode because I thought, I'd spent 3 years at Baylor Law School and I knew Waco's full. Waco at that point was full of all these hidden gems, but everybody in Austin hated Waco. I mean, it was the dog of I-35. You stopped there to pee, maybe. Yeah. That was it. And so, but there were all, it was just great stuff, just kind of off the beat path. And I thought in my head, I'm trying to make a point. And if I can get people to want to go to Waco, I can convince them to want to go anywhere on earth. And so that was our first pilot. So we drove up to Waco. The pilot's about 12 minutes long. That is also buried now in the archives. It's hard to watch as well. But PBS was like, oh, this is great. So
we just watched it the other day. It's a great one because we joined Team Daytripper so that we could get that exclusive content.
Well, you know what, though? The pilot was the predecessor to that thing.
So the
pilot is like, it's not even 16:9. It's not HD. It's in this 4:3 box. It's the angles are way too tight. I've got this really great goatee. I mean, it's just like, oh man, it's very 2006.
And where can you said that's available?
Oh, it's buried, man.
It's somewhere in the internet.
Come out anywhere. That's
on the dark web.
Not even on the internet. Yeah, it's on the dark web somewhere.
Well, speaking of that, and that your first show that you're hosting, I wanted to know how. I know you said you did some filming and some stuff with your friends, so it sounds like you probably had some experience in front of the camera with what that. But
no,
assuming that leadership role, in front, was that something you were comfortable with, or did you have to work on that? Because that's it's a little bit different than just filming and being behind the camera.
Yeah. You know what? I think law school more than anything prepared me to be comfortable, talking to camera. Because once you've talked to a law school professor at Baylor Law, there's nothing on earth scarier. The only thing scarier will be the judgment seat of God, someday, because they are just terrifying and they hold all the power. And so you've got, I think that, and, given jury arguments and being trained on all that, I actually think that probably helped more than anything. So
sure.
But I wasn't looking to be a travel host. That was not my goal. My goal, I was just the one guy standing around that was cheap enough to do it. I didn't have to pay myself. It's perfect. I guess that's me. And I would have been just as happy being the producer or the location scout or whatever. So that's been an interesting get. But I did know this, one of the most valuable things I learned in law school was just to be yourself. That if you're trying to put on a show for a jury, the jury will see right through it. And as soon as they see you as a fake, you've lost your credibility. And, your host, you've lost the case for your client. And what attorneys do is they zealously represent the interest of their clients. And so if you kind of interject yourself. So I remember the first closing argument I had to give in law school. No, it was an opening argument. I mean, I was ready. I'd written this beautiful script because I'd done theater. I had done theater in high school. And I was like, oh, this is it. And so wrote out this eloquent speech, man, straight from To Kill a Mockingbird. It was beautiful. And I stepped up there and I don't remember having a fake Southern accent, but I wouldn't doubt it if I did. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client has done nothing wrong, and did it all. I thought I nailed it. If I was at UIL, I would have gotten, 5 stars. I would have gotten a 1 gold medal.
Standing ovation.
Standing ovation. And the professor just sort of looked at me and it was an awkward long pause. Well, Mr. Garner, I mean, it wasn't bad, but who the beep was that? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that, whatever that was, whatever spirit just possessed you to give that closing argument or opening argument. Well, I mean, I was like, being lawyerly. He's like, no, that was a bunch of BS is what that was. You basically assumed a persona that wasn't yourself, and a jury is going to see right through that. Basically you just lost the case for your client because you're trying to put on a show up here rather than just sort of talk to us. I'm like, oh, that's what it's about. It's funny, like lawyers get, whatever. There's plenty of lawyer jokes, and most of them are well-deserved. But law school is one of the places that teaches you to be the most honest you can. Like honesty and integrity are woven throughout law school. People lose their way afterwards, but at law school, at Baylor, like credibility, integrity, and truthfulness were always pinnacle. And so I'm like, oh man, if anything, I learned like we all have a voice. We're all uniquely gifted. We're at our best when we are speaking within the kind of the tone, the tenor, the personality God's given us. And if you're not a funny guy, don't try to be a funny guy. Be an honest guy. If you are a funny guy, don't try to not be, because that's going to seem super awkward. If you're a yeller, yell. If you're not a yeller, don't. That's going to be weird. And so like finding that certain zone where you really shine and where it's comfortable and natural. I learned that in law school. Not whatever, doing plays and stuff. Because when you're doing a play, you're right. You're assuming a role. You're not yourself. You're Chet Garner as whatever. But in law and in the Daytripper, man, it's been the easiest acting role on the planet because I don't have to be anybody but myself, which has been cool.
Well, and that, I feel like that's a huge connection. When people see you and your passions about it, there is that honesty of what you're doing, who you are. For those who haven't seen, there's some fun gimmicks and skits and things too, but that's a different part of it. But your passion really comes through in the show and in whatever you're doing and talking about, because you are genuinely you. And that's it shines through, man. And I think that's a big connector to people and your show.
I hope so. Thank you for saying that. It's always, living a lie is tough. Living the truth is not,
right.
And just kind of do it.
Yeah. Well, kind of going back into more talking about like the beginning of the show and stuff too. I was curious about, it may change from the very early days to now, but like, what does it look like for a normal shoot when you're going to film an episode? I know that there's got to be some pre-scouting involved, but like walk me through, you've picked out a spot that you want to go to, and then how does it eventually become an episode?
Okay. So, man, I wish I could turn the camera and show you my wall. I've got a map here with sticky notes and scribbles and all kinds of stuff as I plot out the next season. Might not make sense. A lot of it's hieroglyphics to most people. They don't know. But like, I'm always researching Texas, right? So one of the things that we did best is identify things you're passionate about. So I love Texas. I love traveling. Eating at little mom and pops in small towns will never grow old with me. I love it. I love meeting people. I love food. And it's just this experience. And so I love scouting. I'm always scouting. Anytime I'm out on the road, I'm looking for the next great spot to feature on the Daytripper. Regardless of whether, when the cameras are there, we already know what we're doing. So I'm out on the road, traveling around. I find a place, I read a Texas Highways, Texas Monthly, and I start to sort of build these episodes in my brain that like, if we went to X, this is what I would do, this is where I'd eat. And then, so at the beginning of every season, I sort of look at a map and I stroke my beard and I think, okay, how can I make this season really special? There's this place in West Texas that I want to visit. There's also this other place in West Texas, but that's only like 10 miles away. So I got to pick one of those. I'm not going to spend both of them there. Hill country, East Texas. It goes back to the Austin thing. I get criticized. In the first seasons, I got criticized all the time because like, dang it, Chet, get out of the hill country. I was like, okay, fine. I got to spread it out. And so we, North Texas, South Texas, West Texas, East Texas, try to find a balance between it all. Well, I can't eat barbecue every season, so I can't mountain bike every episode. So I can eat barbecue every season, just not every episode of every season, right? And so I start to build these in my head, and then I identify, okay, these are the 13 locations this year we're going to film and make episodes on. They're geographically diverse. They're culinarily diverse. The activities are spread. Some of them are just whacked out. I gotta have one like just out of left field episode, or at least one or two that like, it's always funny when people always ask, Chet, where are you going next? And they're expecting me to say something that's real exciting to them. And I say, oh man, I've got this episode in Giddings. And they go, oh, because the places we feature until you see the shows are not that exciting. But then once you see them, you're like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to Giddings.
Yeah.
But like if I look up here at the map, we got a Brownwood episode, and people are like, oh, there's not that much in Brownwood. Just wait till the episode. I've got a Big Spring episode, a Centerville episode. And there's all these things. Like once you start to build it out, it's like, oh, those are cool episodes, but they're places that I know it'll make a good episode in my mind. But it's that reason we do our shows. These places are not on a lot of travel brochures.
Right.
Right. But that's what I love, like showing people like that place you'd written off, or that place you just drove through and didn't stop. Like there's stuff to do. So, that's it. We figure them out. We go to the crazy calendar. We put in dates. Those dates have to move all the time. And then every episode, if it's within 4 hours of Georgetown, we knock it out in 2 days. So, Giddings, for instance, Giddings is an hour and a half from me. So we'll drive up there that morning, film all day, spend the night, film all the next day, and then come home. And our job is to make it look like one magical day. So it all gets filmed out of order. If you know anything about film production, it's way slower than you think. So we have people all the time, man, I just want to go on the road with you. And like, you do and you don't, like you're going to be about 15 minutes in and it's going to be like, oh, this is actually work. Dang, because eating is where, I eat in restaurants often to an audience of people who are watching me, waiting for my reaction. And they'll sit there and they're like, all right, let's get the close-ups. Then the cameras move and they get the close-ups. Then we spin the plate. Maybe we adjust the lighting. And then we say, okay, Chet's going to eat finally. And I pick up the burger and I talk about it. And then we rearrange the cameras and I talk about it some more. And then they're always like, oh, dang. Yeah, my food's getting cold. And they trickle away because it's just slower. It's slower than you think it is. And so that's fun. If the place is more than 4 hours away, we will have 2 nights. So basically it's a whole day, half day to get there, half day, full day, half day, and then come home. So that's pretty much it. I've got to wear the same clothes 2 days in a row. That's the bad. That's like my crew gets to change shirts. I don't. Like,
I was going to ask about that. Are you buying 2 of each? Because,
No.
I mean, Texas, I'm sure in the summer episodes, you're sweating your tail off.
Oh, it's gross. It's gross, man. There's some times when like, if I threw that shirt into a petri dish in a week, it'd be growing all kinds of weird stuff. Sometimes the clothes like stand up on their own. I mean, there's been times when like my jeans, if I took my legs out of my jeans, they would not fall over. Because the sweat, the smoke, we often smell like a barbecue pit.
Oh yeah.
And then the next day I wake up, brush my teeth and crunch back into that same shirt. It's fun.
It's awesome.
It's fun. No, I'm not that wasteful to want to like have 2 of every shirt. I already have way more plaid shirts than any human should own. So I don't want to get 2 of every single thing.
That is awesome. Well, how did you, like, when you were putting these initial shows together, were you self-funding this? Was this something where you had some sponsorships from the beginning? Because
no, so the pilot was all self-funded, right? Okay. Because nobody's paying for a show that may or may not be on TV. And so I've covered my crew. My buddy had access to the film, so that helped limit a lot. And then, but I knew going into law that this was not my forever. Or I learned pretty quick that wasn't. And so, I knew what the golden handcuffs are. When you get in and suddenly you're making a lot of money. So what do? You spend a lot of money, and before you know it, you can't do anything but make that amount of money. And so I've got a wonderful wife, Laura. She very, very frugal, raised by country folk. And so two parents, both school teachers. So we just sort of saved a war chest of money for the pilot. And then the first season as well, we went through a lot of that war chest. Even though we got some funding, it wasn't enough to like pay for all of it. And luckily I also knew how to edit stuff. So I was doing a lot of my own editing in the early days.
That saves some money.
Oh yeah, right.
It's a lot of time, but
it is a lot of time.
Money.
It is a lot of time, but it saved a lot of money. And so, I mean, this was the first season. We, like Hollywood will tell you need like 100,000 at a low end for a single episode of anything, and we made our entire first season 5 episodes for about 12 grand. So that was it. We had 12 grand of money that we had. I felt like we hadn't weaseled it out of sponsors. These sponsors believed it, but they thought it was such a low amount. It was almost laughable, but that was it. So we paid for some gas, some food, some tape dubs, because believe it or not, we were tape dubbing. I had to rent a deck, an HD cam deck that cost, hundreds of dollars an hour to dub the stupid tapes. So that was like, the budget went away quick. And then, to live on, we had a war chest, luckily, because we'd just been wise, knowing that like we were going to take a leap of faith at some point.
Well, then when did like more sponsorship come in? I mean, you got that first season on. I guess that's kind of like your example of, hey, here's what we got. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can plug you. And I know you've had some sponsors like Rudy's for a long time.
Rudy's been around since season 1.
Season one. That's awesome.
Yeah. And man, I've got the best partners. So, it's relationship driven, the partnership thing. But I remember like I talked to PBS when they greenlit it. They were like, all right, Chet, we love the pilot. Make as many as you can. And I thought, awesome. I've hit the big time. Where's the big bag of money? And they were like, ha, ha, ha. No, Chet, we don't, we're PBS. We don't give away money. We beg people for money. I'm like, oh, great. So what do I do? And they're like, well, you got to go find underwriters. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that really looks like. And they're like, well, you should be able to find 5 partners that'll give you like 50,000. I'm like, oh, sweet. 5 times 50. That's 250,000 to make a whole season. Like, I love that. That's great. And then, so we started knocking on doors, and I made a spreadsheet. I started cold calling people. Hey, I've got a show that you've never seen that doesn't actually exist, and I would like $50,000 from you to fund me eating barbecue.
Hello?
Like,
hello?
Huh? Wait, oh, how strange. And so like nobody was 50. Like, okay, well, I guess I'm asking for too much money. How much can we make this for? I'll ask for 20. No, nothing. I'll ask for 10. Nothing. And I called literally hundreds of cold calls. If there was a sponsorship portal, any company in America got a sponsorship proposal from me in 2008 asking for money. And I was like, I'm doing this wrong. I was like, I just got to get on TV. I have to have a product before people will actually give any money to it. And I thought, but I need sponsors for credibility. Like, what's a number that's so low it'll sort of fall off the side of a budget, but it's high enough to where it's not just like, $5. So I thought $2,000 is a good number to ask for, because if you're a big company, that'll just, that'll fall off the side of your marketing budget. You'll never know. You've built in a contingency. And I started calling people. And I remember the first one that came along was Live Oak Brewing in Austin, Texas. And so I was talking to Chip McElroy. He's the owner and founder of Live Oak Brewing. And I'm on the phone. I'm in my law office. The door is closed because I couldn't have anybody hear me make cold calls pitching a television show to people. I would bill my hours, but then when it came time to call, I'd close the door.
Right.
And Chip goes, oh man, it's a pretty good idea. Let's do it. And I was like, yes, sir. Hang up the phone because I didn't want to, don't outsell yourself, right? Don't say too much. And then as soon as I hung up the phone, I went, oh crap. Now I have to actually make the show. Because before it's a pipe dream and you're like, it either works or it doesn't. But once people start dishing out money, like you're now accountable. You're beholden to them to actually honor that and make something decent. So it was kind of funny. Like God provided the Hat Creek Burgers dropped next. And then Patagonia had just opened a store in Austin and they had a little tiny local marketing budget. And so it was sort of like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh man, we're making a show. So that summer in July, usually we film maybe 2 episodes a month. We've filmed up to 4 a month. It's crazy. We'll never do that again. Other than this first little period of July of 2009, we filmed 5 episodes in 2 weeks. Just bouncing around. I remember that we were like, all right, we got to go to Bastrop today. And then the next day we would have crew call. We're going to Burn It today. And so luckily it was the Austin Daytrippers right in this little bubble. Right, but man, we spent 2 weeks just on the road doing nothing but film. And dude, it was a burner of a summer. And it was rough. It was rough, but we came back and we had it all in the can. And it was like, all right, I think we might have just made a TV show. And so that October, it was ready for air, and it just sort of started steamrolling. Now, season 2, well, we made season 1 for 12. I think we made season 2 for like 30. Season 3 for like maybe 45. I was just barely incrementally walking it up and met someone in the industry named Andrew Ramsamy who kind of knew this stuff. He's like, man, you're being an idiot. You can ask for way more money. I'm like, I can't ask for more money, but maybe someone else can on my behalf. And so that was season 4 is when we finally turned a corner and I was able to hire full-time staff. We kept this thing actually going. And then that, you form deeper partnerships with people. And that's sort of where we turned the corner, season 4. So, people say like any idea, you're going to have to stick with it for 3-4 years to see if it actually goes. And that was definitely true with the Daytripper.
Well, and you even said once, Mary, you said, do what you love before someone is willing to pay you. And
that's absolutely right.
And that sounds like something absolutely that, you're not going to survive on just that money alone at the very beginning. And, most businesses do fail, but you're seeing success in that incremental, inclusion of sponsors and more funding and stuff. And I was curious about the idea too, when everyone probably wants to have you be the liaison, but are you is there someone else who's now, like you said, that someone knew what they were doing there? That's been
the hardest part. Because everybody does expect me to be there. And I've got wife and 5 kids, got my staff. And so I've had to really train other people well, and then also manage expectations with people. Now I try to be as personally involved as I can all the time, but I've got an amazing staff here now of people that have, formed personal relationships with the clients. So the client's just as happy talking to them as they are me.
Right.
But you gotta get there.
Yeah.
You gotta get there for sure.
Well,
that's been a one. We've had some partners that have come in like seasoned sponsors that have been kind of a one and done because we didn't manage expectations very well. So they came in, I don't know. And then I felt like, I didn't service that client well enough, but that probably couldn't have ever. Right.
Well, it's difficult. You can't please everyone all the time. And when you have a focus on, producing this show, and then you've got your family life and you've got everything else that's going on, things may slip through the cracks unless you have that team. Because you said you started off with like 4, but what is your production company's Hogaboom Road, correct?
Yeah.
That's so what does that look like now? What is your team? How vast is that group now?
Let's see. So we, so I started a production company that wasn't just the Daytripper so that we could do more projects. And before COVID, we had about 7 or 8 full-time people on staff. And then COVID hit And the work didn't dry up, but, people were different places working from home. That works for some, doesn't work for others. We had 2 crew members move away because they wanted to be back home with their family, wherever they were from. And so it was kind of like the crew got smaller and smaller, but yet same in this industry, which is different than a lot of industries. There's an army of freelancers that are ready to work project by project, but they want the freedom to not have to go to a 9 to 5. Right. So this is our job. We try to show up every, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 8 to 10, whatever it takes, but it's a full-time job. We're not just like, if I have something to do, I'll do it. Like we got to show up, put our butts in the desk every day. And so we, the crew now full-time is only 2. And then I've got 2 that, well, including me. So it's 3 with me. Then I've got 2 workers who are here a lot who help run the store. And then we have some amazing contractors that we deal with. So rather than like a big, heavy staff, we've got a team of people that we rely on all the time. We did bump it up. So instead of having 4 on the road, we have 5 on the road now, which means we got to take 2 cars, which I was always like, 2 cars. But it's been amazing. So like we film the show now, and people to Hollywood crews, we are laughably small. But I've worked on big crews. I hate big crews. Big crews are a lot of people standing around waiting for someone else to tell them what to do. Small crew is nimble. We're fast. We all like each other. Having numbers on a set is not often an advantage. It can be a huge disadvantage. So
sure.
Now we got me, 2 camera guys, audio, and a producer, and that is perfect. So we roll out. We all like each other, have a good time, film. And shoots are fun. I mean, they're work, but they're so much fun when you're doing what you love with people.
Absolutely.
You like, right?
Absolutely. No, that's well, you mentioned earlier you have 13 seasons that have aired, and you have you already have 14 in the can?
No.
Okay.
We were supposed to film the first episode this past week, and it got rained out. So we are in a couple weeks we'll hit the road again.
So what does that look like when you're recording? How quick are you flipping that onto air? And is that something that you want to have all of them done? Or you you see TV shows these days where it's like you got, 12 episodes and they release in 6 and then they're doing another 6 later. And there's these different, variations of how they're putting that out. I'm curious what your setup is.
So we make 13 a year. We release 5 in October, 3 in February, and 5 in May. Now we took this last year off for the first time. But we're ready to go back out. Season 14 will start. We film about 2 a month, and that's about all we can handle. A lot of shows will go out for weeks at a time. Hey, I know some other people like, hey, I'm on the road for the next 2 months filming every episode. If I left for 2 months with my wife, with 5 kids, managing that home, I wouldn't have a home to come back to. That's a hard thing. It's like getting deployed.
Right.
Not quite. I mean, not 9 months, but the idea,
understand.
You're relying on the spouse to be a single parent, and you're obviously earning a livelihood, but
why does my key not work? Right.
Right. Right. And it's like, I'm glad I have a couch at the office, like my podcast comes with it. So we family first.
Yep.
We small, and that for us means small, short trips spread out. So that way we're not going on the road. I mean, we could knock them all out at once, but the road, you can get road weary real quick.
Oh yeah. Burnout is real on that.
Yeah. Burnout is real. So the family is wonderful. They're how you recharge your batteries in between the shoots. So
sure.
We shoot, come home, work on all the other stuff, shoot, come home. So, we try to be like 3-4 months ahead of our airing schedule. But sometimes, like if you're trying to shoot something that's seasonal, which we don't do a ton of, but we'll sometimes shoot that a year before it airs.
Right.
And that's always kind of tough because you're rolling the dice. Will those businesses still be open in a year? Because like in a mom and pop restaurant, like if Pop kicks the can, that business shuts down.
Yep.
So it's kind of a risky thing. That's why we tend to not do too much seasonal stuff. That's not the only reason, but one of them. And so we try. Like, we would love to be filming in April and May and June, basically all the episodes that'll air in October, and maybe even some that'll air in February. So that's about it. We can't turn them as fast. I mean, every episode takes about 120 hours to edit. So we can't turn them like a news station. You know, a news station does a very predictable thing. They're hitting a certain quality and boom, you can turn it out. If people watch our show is very crafted. A lot of voiceover, a lot of music, a lot of editing, a lot of color correction and music, sound.
Animation.
It should play animations. So we want them to play more like little mini movies than like just a little news broadcast.
So is there a time of year that you're like, I am taking off and not doing this? Or is this kind of a 365?
It is woven to everything we do all the time. You're never not filming and you're never not editing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious when you were talking about, like, your family is your reset. It's your home. That's your place of grace. And where does that also come where you're taking your family on the road? Because I'm sure that there's got to be like, are your kids involved in any of the production? I know your wife was one of the scouts there. Like, so what does that look like?
They're my scout team.
Yeah,
that's scout crew. My family is not yet big enough to stay quiet when I need to be quiet. Like quiet on the set. Like 3-year-old don't care. Actually, he just turned 4 yesterday. 4-year-old don't care.
Oh, cool. Happy birthday.
He wants to be next to dad, hanging out.
Yep.
And so filming is too hard and rigorous, and we love it because we love making videos. But to someone who doesn't, it can be pretty boring. So what we do is I love taking them on scouting missions. So, hey, kids, we're going to go to Comfort, Texas, just goof around all day to see what might be the Daytripper. And now I've ruined my kids' palates. I mean, my kids are used to eating some pretty good food, and they'll tell you quick if this isn't meeting, the Daytripper standards. They hold nothing back. I'm often the silver lining guy. Well, the fries are pretty good. Like, Dad, this is gross. Don't put that on the Daytripper ever. I'm like, okay, fine. And, so they're fun. They're my scout team. Laura as well, and the 5 kids. That's one of my favorite things to do. We just take off and go explore.
That's awesome. Well, I was thinking about, there's got to be some of those, like you said, too, maybe a mom and pop shop that, closed down and you might not maybe air that episode. Is there anything that you have filmed that you did not air and what are some of those particular reasons?
Oh, man. We only once, and I still feel bad about it, we filmed an entire segment and then cut it from the final product. And that was in Stephenville, and it was Veldhuizen cheese. It was a cheesemaker, and it was this great segment. But we looked at it and we're like, this segment needs to be 5 minutes long. And all the other segments need to be 5 minutes long in the whole show. And it was like, dang, we don't make an hour show. So you had to make a cut. And it was like, we can either shave everything down to 3 minutes, but that's just not going to do it justice. We can't tell the stories we want to tell. And so it's the first time I was like, we got to cut it. We got to cut something. And so I hope they didn't have a little premiere party and they were all sitting around eating cheese, waiting. And it's like, wait, we didn't make the episode. So that stinks. But that was the only time like that. Now, there's been plenty of interviews where I'm in the middle of an interview and I'm like, this is not going the way I hoped it would. And so just for whatever reason, people freeze up, people get nervous around cameras, or they say very unflattering things. We're like, yeah, we're not putting this on TV.
Oh, yeah.
So there are interviews that we have cut from segments for sure.
Oh, I've had that with some podcasts. I've had some guests that have said some things where I'm like, that's maybe a touch controversial. I try to leave it authentically who they are, but there's certain things I'm like that could actually offend people. And that next guest that I might call might not like to hear that. So it's like,
right. Exactly.
You gotta, there's a balance there. You want to find out, you want to let them be authentically themselves, but then you're like, my viewership might not, that's a little off-color joke there. We're gonna scrap that one.
Right. You don't want to be that guy. Like your podcast, you're good at what you do interviewing. And like, regardless of how good the interview is, people straight crazy sometimes, like straight crazy. And, we've had purely evil racist things on camera. And I'm like, Yeah, I'm not putting this lady on TV. I'm just not doing it. So,
well,
anyway.
you've had that, speaking of podcasts, that's another avenue of entertainment that you've got going on too. You've been doing your podcast since 2014 now?
I think so. We should have stuck with it because it would have grown bigger than it is. But like we did it and then let's put it down and then we got busy and then like picked it back up and then put it down. And so we're finally consistent with it. And it's been great. I mean, the podcasts are fun, and I listen to more podcasts than anything nowadays. Like, I mean, I listen to 100x the number of podcasts that I do television because at night I can't find time to turn on my TV, but like I am traveling on the road all the time, pounding podcasts and sermons and whatever. Like podcast, that's a gift, man.
Well, I mean, you're kind of putting them out once a month now, right? Isn't that kind of the goal?
Just once a month. We would love to do it more if we had time. How often do you publish yours?
I'm about to wind up a year into it in May, and I think I'm going to have 26. So it's basically one every other week.
That's awesome. God, that's a good little clip. But it never sleeps, right?
No, I am constantly doing something, thinking like I am going to bed at night and I'm waking up and writing down something. Oh, I need to call this person or like those connections here that I'm making. I used to travel around, with there's a guy named Harvey Arden. He was a National Geographic staff writer. He was with them for 23 years. And then he did a bunch of work with indigenous elders around the world. And so I was a part of this company and I was the production guy. I was multimedia manager. I was doing all the recording, the filming, the editing, the audio recordings. And we would travel around and meet with these indigenous elders from all around the world and put together their life stories and messages. So like it was like this, early form. And now, I'd have to travel, 12, 15 hours to go set up this interview. And now I can just click record and, you're in your comfortable spot. I'm in mine. And it changed everything. And then I thought one day, I want to start doing that and kind of, I loved interviewing people and meeting interesting people and then sharing their, platforms with the world and just kind of being a conduit to that kind of information and goodness. And so I love the idea of podcasts for that particular reason.
Oh, totally. I mean, it is it's got value for all the reasons you just listed. And hopefully there's people, cruising in their truck somewhere, going somewhere cool. Yeah. And, can get inspired by the story. So, podcasting, it's a game changer. It's changed the world, truthfully.
It is. And my mom always said I had a face for radio. We didn't have podcasting growing up. So it's like now it works.
Yeah, but you're filming it. You're videoing this.
No, I know. Come on. I like it. Well, that's an element that I love, man, that video production. I mean, ever since I had that big old, Canon huge, VHS tape and making those same videos, I was in video production stuff in high school, same things. I loved the video aspect. And I think a lot of people like to see the person that they're hearing, but
oh man, totally.
It's great to have it on the car too. And, it's like on the way to work, listening to some podcast or sermon, whatever it is, man. It's
whatever
great.
It is. Yeah, that's cool. And you were hanging out. These are questions I've got for a longer time together. You're hanging out with indigenous people. Where?
So,
countries?
So we had some Peruvian medicine men. There's a guy, he actually lives in Austin of all places now. Don Valerio Cojala. And he was, I think, like the 6th generation curandero, the medicine man of his family. And then we would meet with people from, there's a guy named Chief Orville Looking Horse. Got his book behind me. He is the 19th generation keeper of the sacred white buffalo calf pipe. So they're like the origins of like the Lakota Nation story was like a spirit woman came and basically there's a longer story involved, but she ended up giving this calf pipe, this pipe from a white buffalo, and that's what they pray to. And so we met with him and put out his book and did like a little book tour. And then Edna Gordon, who's she made it into her late 90s, and she was a Seneca Hawk elder in New York. And I worked with people just a lot of folks were in North America, but we did. I traveled down to Mexico and did the Condor Eagle encounter, where it's all the elders from South America, North America coming together. And
oh, wow. It
was incredible, man. It was incredible. So we've done some stuff with some Aboriginals from Australia, just kind of anywhere that we could get. And a lot of times they'd be coming here, and we do interviews instead of us, making those grand trips over there. So that made it easier to
easier to fly them in than to send 8 people down or whatever.
But and I'd be involved in a lot of the spiritual and sometimes medicinal ceremonies, and it was an incredible thing to be in those groups of the power of prayer, and people from all over and all different backgrounds that were just coming together. Maybe it's like praying for someone who had cancer, and the ceremony would be focused all around them, and trying to heal them and pray for them.
Interesting.
It was so amazing, man. I mean, I was like right out of college, all my other friends are like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm going this weekend to this ceremony doing this. And like, what?
Oh, that is, people in film have the wildest stories generally.
Yeah.
Like people who've been on film crews, or that we work with some guys who've just been all over the place. The time they were sitting for 2 weeks in a bush waiting for a ocelot to walk out, like all just crazy stuff. Breaking down by the side of the road. Everybody's got stories like that. Just adventure.
Were you just referencing Ben Masters by chance?
Well, John Aldrich, who is he works with us, has worked with Ben multiple times. I don't know Ben, but I know John very well.
I got Ben coming on the podcast sometime soon. So that was when you said that about sitting and watching for an ocelot.
He's the ocelot king now.
Yes.
Oh, Ben will be an awesome interview.
Oh, he's a great guy, man. He's got so many amazing things. And that's like, it's like what you're kind of doing in Texas. It's like he's kind of that about like the wildlife in Texas, like the deep in the heart, that was an amazing documentary.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Ben's a cool guy. He's also the kind of guy who can sit in a bush for 2 weeks and wait for a cat to walk out.
Oh,
like
yes, so, he quite literally told me, he's like, I can't do these months because I'm going to be long lensing a mountain lion for these months and I'll be away. So when I get back in town, email me. And I literally just emailed him this morning. Hey, are you back? Can we
did you get eaten by a mountain lion? Did you? Yeah. Oh man,
I saw him post on Instagram, so I guess he's still around.
He's still alive.
Hopefully he survived it. So another question I had here was like, when you first started to broadcast in KLRU, right? Is that the Austin PBS?
Yeah. Yep. Austin PBS.
But now it's on all sorts of PBSs. So like people can tune in and get that in their local PBS, but you mentioned earlier too, you guys now put a ton of the shows on your YouTube page.
That
is awesome. By the way, thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were all sort of behind a paywall on our website, and we're like, okay, well, the Team Daytripper thing's cool. We got a lot of fun members there in a Facebook group that we try to stay lively on, but we're sort of handcuffing them. Let's share them with a bigger audience. So that's what the YouTube thing was. So that way people could see. I mean, I don't expect people have seen all 150 whatever episodes. And so it's gonna be fun. It's opened up a whole bunch of new doors for us. But it is on PBS local, but it's national too, which always blows my mind because we get people from North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, Colorado. People write us in all the time, just random stuff. It's fun to think that it's all Texas, and we got no intentions of making non-Texas shows. But it's funny that people are so fascinated with Texas, no matter where they live in the country, and they turn on this little show, this guy eating barbecue. So,
everywhere in the world, like that's, you mentioned where you're from, and anytime I'd ever meet anybody else, I just mentioned I'm from Texas. Texas, there's that allure. And
exactly.
I mean, and you're filming it all around and going to all these places. There's international like folks that are checking that out because it's such a huge representation. There's not many other states that have everything that we have. Oh
no! I mean, if I jokingly say, like, if I'd started in Connecticut, I'd be retired by now, man. Or like any of the Northeast states. No way. I mean, Texas is the only one that has its identity like it does, and a mythos, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that was one of the reasons I wanted to start the show. It's like I traveled to Europe, and you tell people, ask, where are you from? And I would say, well, I'm from Texas. And the first thing they would say is like, you Texans. If you ask anybody else where they're from, they say, I'm from America, but not Texans. We're not from America. We're from Texas.
Yes.
And it would be followed by jokes and I can't wait to go to Texas. I've heard great things about Texas. I want to go. You know, for them, this is like their bucket list trip to come over. And so it's got a lure.
Yeah.
You know, and we're certainly playing into that. I mean, we're certainly beneficiaries of that too, like helping build the Texas pride. Because we're not just, you know, we just don't have enough pride. So just
we need more.
Yeah, need more reasons to be proud of our state. So,
well, you talk about that fanship and like, you know, the Team Daytripper. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that, because it's a membership that people can be involved in, and you know, you get some really cool benefits for a very affordable price.
Well, we started it a while back, just sort of like it was a way to create a fan club.
Yeah.
But you know, we didn't want just like something that we couldn't say thank you back with. So it's $25 a year, and that basically just helps us buy cool things to send to you. So every anniversary, you get a exclusive koozie, keychain, leather air freshener, or whatever it is. And then we got a Facebook group. You do get access to all the back episodes on the website. So you can log into the website and you can watch them. And it's going to take us a long time to get all the episodes up to YouTube. Right now we're releasing 3 a week, but even at that clip, it's going to take like a year to get them all up. So if you want to watch them now, they're on the website. So it's been cool. And our goal is to maybe to, like, you know, just to facilitate a community of people who are always traveling, you know, traveling Texas. And now we've got the Facebook group for people just, you know, you got an idea? Hey, I'm going to Sonora. Where should I eat? And I guarantee you there's someone there that knows.
Well, and another cool thing too is that you actually have an app, the Daytripper Field Guide. And you started that, I mean, just a little over 3 years ago now. Can you talk to people about the app, what it is, and why you started it?
So, yeah, I mean, the goal has always been like, I want to make a television show that inspires people to watch less TV. That's the goal. Whatever I can do to get you off your butt and out the door and exploring, that's what I want to do. So, like, and there's spiritual reasons for this. I believe that, you know, we get in our ruts, right? And worse than that, we get discontent when we start to think of all the places we'll never go. Other people are doing all these cool travel things. We don't have it. We only get 2 weeks a year off of vacation from our place, you know, whatever it is. And this is a proverbial slap in the head to say, guys, you're sitting there in this rut, discontent that you can't go on adventures, and you don't realize some of the best adventures in the world are an hour from your back door. And so I just want to, whatever it takes, I want to make sure that people go, because I believe that when we get out of that rut, we start exploring, we meet people we would not have encountered otherwise. We see God's creation when we're standing on top of Enchanted Rock looking out. And so we've got ways for sort of God to kind of shake us up and to help us, like, you know, kind of stop navel gazing about, oh, poor me. It's like, whoa, you know, I've got all this cool stuff. And then hopefully God can reach them. That's my goal. And so we created an app because it was like, let's put all this stuff in people's pocket, you know? Let's make this. We got a website that's built way out. Let's make sure that people know, like, we want them to see the show, then we want them to repeat the show. That's the goal.
Well, that's so great too. You're on like a road trip too. You're like, okay, where am I at? You can look at your app and see, oh, there's a show that you had. Here's some spots that you might want to go check out. This is a great scenic overlook. Here's another awesome place to have some barbecue or breakfast tacos, whatever it is. Like, it's such a great interactive thing for you to have these, the Team Daytripper, to be able to have the avenues of the podcast and the app. I mean, it's wonderful, man. I love that you've put all those things together.
Thank you. We try to, like we said, we want to be a tool for people.
No,
plan your vacations with us. That's what we want.
No, that's fun. Well, I actually reached out to a ton of fans of your shows and had them submit some questions. So we got a rapid fire round later, but I had one.
Let's do
it. My wife is the first one who asked, what is the strangest situation that you've encountered while out day tripping?
Strangest situation I've encountered while out day tripping. Ooh, man. So there's been some weird stuff that has happened. Like the weirdest one, I guess, is probably when I got abandoned to sleep by myself in an old historic fort. And I've told this story a few times. But we were filming in San Angelo, and we had booked the old officers' quarters on at Fort Concho that you could spend the night in. It's got 4 bedrooms. We were doing this goofy thing with a ghost, like a terrible ghost roommate. He's like an ex-soldier that died or something. He didn't really have a lot of backstory. He was just sort of there clipping his toenails on your bed when you just wanted to go to sleep. And so we finished at like 11, and I look at my crew. I'm like, all right, guys, we got 4 bedrooms. Which ones do y'all want to sleep in? And they looked at me like I was insane, the craziest person on the planet. They were like, Chet, you crazy? Like, did you hear the story about the little dead girl that runs around and like terrorizes people here? I'm like, come on, guys. You don't believe any of that. Like, no, we're fine. And so they were like, nope, peace out. We're going to Best Western or wherever. And I'm like, well, fine. I don't need y'all anyway. I'll spend the night here by myself. Bro, worst decision ever. Because I'm there by myself, this creepy old officer's quarters. It's a stone building. I'm in the downstairs bedroom. And all of a sudden, like, there were some sounds coming out of that house that should not have been happening when you're alone in a building by yourself. The kitchen sounded like people were throwing stuff against the wall, banging cabinets. And I'm there going, I just have to make it through the night. Should make it through the night.
Come on, daylight. So get
come
up. On, daylight.
Okay, come on, daylight. And so, like, I get up and I lock the door, and then I'm like, okay, I'm safe in here. I was like, wait, no, ghosts can go through doors. I have to leave it open so I can get away faster. Checking the windows if they're unlocked. So if I have to barrel out a window, I can. And I'm like, I'm losing my ever-loving mind. And so I literally just stayed there and stared at the ceiling until I saw, like, when the edge of the sky turned purple right before the sun came up, I thought, I'm out. Ran. And, like, you know, crew call was at whatever, 9 a.m. the next morning at the Best Western breakfast. And I'm sitting there like going, hey guys, how are y'all? You know, I'm on my 8th cup of coffee that morning. Like, how was the night's sleep? You know, like, oh, sleep? What sleep? Didn't sleep at all. Let's go. So if I look really tired in the second half of the Daytripper, that's why.
That's why.
Yeah,
no sleep.
Yeah. No, I'll never do that again. I will not set foot in that place again.
I'll switch to a fun memory. What are some of your biggest influences that you had growing up and now, like as far as individuals? Like, who were some of those people that really, really helped shape your life?
Oh man, I've had quite a few. I'd say, you know, I'll start with the easy ones. My mom. She was very much a person that didn't care kind of like how the outcome was. As long as you did your best, that's all that mattered. And so I grew up without much of a fear of failure, honestly, because it was sort of like, did I try? That's the only standard. Yep. Did it fail? Yeah, but I gave it my best. Yeah. So, you know, and scouts certainly help with that too. My dad was a scoutmaster, so same kind of thing. Like, let's just foster a atmosphere of giving it your best shot. And so when it came time to step away from law to chase this crazy dream, like, was it going to fail? Maybe. I don't, you know, but I got to give it a shot. So that was certainly instrumental. And that came from both of my parents. I had teachers in school that told me. I remember going to see a professor in UT, and he taught me chemistry, Dr. Loudy, and he was very much like, "Wait, Chet, you're a film major? Yeah, but you're also in my class. What are you doing in my class?" Like, well, I may go to med school. Why? Well, you know, if I don't make a filmmaker, I'll just be a doctor. And he just said that is okay. You know, that's a plan. He goes, wouldn't the world be better if we all like could find a way to fund our life through our passions? I'm like, huh? It's like, yeah, you know, like people want to be different things. It'd be so great if like we all kind of went after it and were able to, you know, fund it. Basically, if everybody in the world could turn their passions into a profession, the world would be a lot better place, because I honestly believe we're all gifted in different ways and it would all just magically work.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to be a janitor, go be a janitor. You're going to have a fulfilling life there. And we need janitors. We need accountants. I can't be an accountant, but maybe you can. And so that we would all it would all just kind of jive. And I thought, man, you know what? That sounds like the most wonderful way to live. So yeah, maybe I will. That was sort of one of the things. I'm not going to go to med school because that's not where I'm passionate about. And then that kind of drove me to sort of say, well, filmmaking, law, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then, I think I had wonderful teachers. I'm a public school kid. You know, you just run into teachers and people everywhere that influence you in one way or another. Films that I watched influenced me, you know, big Monty Python fan. Like very clearly Monty Python influenced me. One of the best compliments I ever got was from a writer in Rockdale. He wrote for the Rockdale Reporter, and the headline was Monty Python meets Rand McNally. I was like, that's it. That's what I want to be. Rand McNally, of course, makes like the atlas, the road atlases.
Yeah.
And Monty Python, stupid English sketch comedy. I was like, that's it. Monty Python meets Rand McNally. Best compliment I'll ever get in my life.
You mispronounce genius. It's not stupid. That's some classic stuff there.
It is.
Well, that's a great compliment, man. That's a great compliment. Yeah. Actually, I was just in Rockdale. My wife and I just went there for the first time. We were filming a hog hunting episode for
nice.
a TV show. It'll be airing at the Pursuit Channel and April 24th. So that was quite a neat experience. Stayed at the oldest motel, or one of the oldest motels in the state.
Yeah, I've never stayed there. Was it pretty cool?
Dude, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. There's some of the, like, you look outside and some of like the, you know, that building's a little slanted. You kind of walk this way, but it's a really kind of a cool spot. And there's, you know, like just anything like your show. It's like you can find a lot of really cool, you know, corners of that town too. It's just a fun place to be a part of.
You start flipping rocks, you'll find some stuff underneath them, man.
Yep.
Always.
Indeed. Well, and one of my other buddies, his question, his name's Mark Rendon.
Okay.
He's going to love the shout out.
Yeah.
He's probably watched all your episodes. He and his wife, they are religious about it. They love tuning in. And so you've been a big inspiration to him, and he's traveled around all these different countries. Like currently he's in Japan. He just went to 5 different baseball parks in 6 days. And he actually has like an Instagram handle at the ballpark with Mark, like talking about his travels.
Right.
It's really cool stuff. And he's gone everywhere and loves just going and doing these little budget trips. And he's found a lot of inspiration from your show. And he was asking, what are the favorite places that you've traveled outside of Texas?
Ooh, man. So I love Colorado. I wish we still had our 1845 shape, because we had all the good spots in Colorado, in Texas at one point. And then we gave it away. Gosh. Love northern New Mexico. If I were to disappear, I'd probably disappear to northern New Mexico. If I wasn't in Texas. If I'm going to stay in Texas, I'm going to disappear to the Davis Mountains. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me, I guess I love mountains.
Yeah.
Mountains it is.
Sounds like a
but I've been to Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, almost all the European countries. And Spain has a special place in my heart. Thailand is wild. Taiwan, especially. You go down Snake Alley, drink a little snake blood, and eat some snake cobra meat or whatever. Stuff like that. You know, there are times in life I'm like, man, some days I wish it wasn't just a Texas show. I'm like, this is pretty wild over here. So I got so many, but the list of places I want to go is even longer.
Oh, I bet.
You know, now,
have you thought about doing some filming segments, then kind of maybe just having those? I mean, I'm sure that there's an audience for those kinds of things too. Not necessarily your show, but I mean, I guess that's where the Instagram, Facebook kind of world helps out too. You can always highlight some of those things. And
we've had an opportunity, like we've made videos on our YouTube channel in Kentucky with our partner Best Western. So we did the Bourbon Trail, we've done Minnesota, all kinds of stuff. So those are out there, not for the Daytripper television show, but for the other stuff for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, back to the television show.
Yeah.
One of your listeners wanted to know where you get all your costumes and get up. And is there a Chet supply store somewhere that people don't know about?
I should open up my own stinking supply store at this point, because like we could rent this stuff out and supply an entire like small town theater.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I used to go to a place. There was a great costume shop in South Austin called Lucy in Disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And it just closed down.
Really?
So that was a staple down there, and you could find anything and everything you wanted in Lucy in Disguise. So I've had tons of costumes that came from Lucy in Disguise. And then I guess I just started buying stuff. And if I'm going through like a small town junk shop and I see anything that might at some point in the the unknown future be part of a costume, I'll buy it, just because you never know. You never know. But I do. We have a room above me that is like, it's like the backstage at a theater department.
I can only imagine. That's awesome. The next question from one of your listeners and viewers says, you went to the University of Texas and Baylor. If they go head to head in an event, which team you rooting for? Do you have one burnt orange sock and one green and gold? What are you doing?
I've been screamed at the UT stadium because I was wearing a UT shirt and a Baylor hat to go watch the Horns play. You can't do that, bro. You got to pick. I'm like, well, I went to both schools, and he's like, that kind of dumbfounded him. He's like, well, you can't do it, man. Like, well, so like, I've got love for both of them. What's been helpful is like, I mean, of course, I'll cheer for them against anybody else.
Right.
When they play head to head, coming out of undergrad, I mean, your undergrad is like, that's your heart. That's where you get brainwashed first. But there's been some years, without a doubt, I've cheered for Baylor because like UT's season was in the toilet and Baylor could still win the Big 12.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, this is time. Like I'm gonna cheer for my Bears here. So maybe as a default rule, it's probably Longhorns, but there's like so many exceptions to that it overpowers it sometimes. So I tend to cheer for whoever's got the most on the line.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to see, like I would much rather see somebody win something big, or if Baylor in football had chances to make the playoffs at some point. It's like, oh gosh, that's huge. And so it's been helpful the past few years, like as UT fell, they're coming back up, always coming back up. Always coming back up. That Baylor was super good when UT was kind of in the toilet. And, before, when I was an undergrad, Baylor was the bottom dweller of the Big 12. And so that's been cool. That's been cool. So there's no clear answer. I'm sure that just does nothing but piss off both fan bases.
It unifies them. It brings them together.
That's the truth.
It's good.
Right.
It's
I'm
good.
sure of it.
Because neither of them die on their swords. Right.
Yeah. We had a chance to do some work for Baylor this past year doing this Bears in the Wild campaign, which was a blast. And it was about connecting alumni. Mm-hmm. But they would ask me that same question. And what they wanted me to say was, it's Baylor all the way. And when I would be like, well, it depends. They got it didn't go that well sometimes.
They're like, we're gonna need someone else over here, please.
Yeah, I know. Please. Who hired this guy? Yeah.
So another question we had was, how do you keep your mind and your body in peak performance?
Oh man, mind is never quit learning. And that for me, I've got, I'm a Christian, I got faith in Jesus. So it's like never quit learning about, they say, work out your faith with fear and trembling. To me, that is constantly learning more, because that Bible is long. Faith is complicated. It's a lifetime's work to keep learning more. So that I spend a lot of time in sermons, the word, talking to people about it. And that to me is my grounding. That's my foundation. So once you get that straight, you can do a lot of other stuff. So I'm one of those people, I read my Bible every day.
Yeah.
And then body, I discovered CrossFit a few years ago, and there is no pain like CrossFit pain. And once you get into it, you sort of get addicted to it.
Yeah.
And so I make myself work out, because what I say the most common question we get is, how do you not weigh 400 pounds? And I'm like, man, like I eat like garbage. I do. And so especially on the show, like garbage, I mean, it's delicious. It's delicious garbage.
Yeah.
It's delicious gravy, queso covered garbage, but It's good. And I'm not going to give that up. So how do you pay for your sins? Well, you either eat less or you work out more. I have very much chosen the workout more approach to life, which helps because I got a kind of exercise that I like. CrossFit changes all the time, so there's never a routine to it.
Right.
And I'm the kind of guy, the second I find a routine, I die and I blow it up and I make something new. That's just me personally. I don't know if you're like that, but routine.
Yeah.
Go together. I like when I was driving for 3 years, driving from my office to work, and we lived in East Austin. I mean, I was probably 3 miles from work, maybe. I drove every possible way you could drive to work on the planet because I couldn't drive. Like driving to work the same way every day was killing a piece of me, like just killing another tiny piece of me inside my soul. And so I would drive sometimes miles out of the way to curve back to get to work. That's just me. That's just my personality. It's not better or worse than any other thing, but like that's it. CrossFit's always changing. You got some basic movements, but that's the way I choose to punish my body.
Hey, that's a good choice, man.
How about you? What do you do?
Well, I still play soccer.
Soccer, man. If I had a soccer team in time, I'd pick that.
It's great, but I definitely have gone in lower divisions. I used to play kind of the highest division, and then each year as I get a little bit older, I'm stepping down, and I'm very competitive with it, but at the end of the day, I like to be able to walk to my car without a mass amount of injuries and wake up, the next morning where my wife doesn't have to help me get out of bed. So like I still play, and it's a lot of that's a camaraderie with my friends and stuff too. So that's that kind of awesome. That feels the heart and soul too. And getting to see, your buds you've known for 20 years and things too. And so I've been playing for, now almost 40 years. And that's something that I think will never go away until the knees and the ankles do. I'm just going to love it. I'll do some running and stuff too, but also just keeping up with, the kiddo, man, just trying to, my wife and I have 2 daughters. And our youngest 10 is, she's running around. And so it's like, I'm always feeling like, like I'm still getting my workouts in, and we love
chasing. Sure.
Yeah. And it's like, same thing you're doing. Like, it's you're going on those hikes when you're out at the state park, you're getting active. We like to go on walks, just kind of get outside and get a break in the day and stuff too. So awesome. Whatever I can do, and trying to eat healthy, and I also, I have 2 ranches in my family. So I also do a lot of ranching. There's tons of activity out there that gets me going and moving and stuff too. In fact, that was another question I had in my brain. In the Palestine episode, you did some hog hunting. And you looked quite natural behind the rifle, sir. Did you grow up hunting and fishing? What does your outdoor look like, growing up?
My dad was raised doing that stuff. And I think by the time he was raising us, it was kind of like, I don't know, so I am now as an adult, like I'm hunting and fishing more now than I ever did. So I mean, I knew how to fish, and I earned my bass fishing merit badge or whatever in scouts, but hunting, I think I only went deer hunting once when I was young. And almost shot a cow. I was sure that this thing that had stepped behind this bush was the monster deer I was about to shoot. Man, I was on that trigger, and then it stepped out the other side. It was totally a cow. And I was like, I just almost killed this rancher's cow, and we were on some lease somewhere. And at that moment I froze up. I'm like, I don't know anything of what I'm doing. And so learned, you don't shoot things unless you can totally see them.
Good rule.
It's good rule. So I mean, I've shot a lot now. So I do go hunting. I love it. Although the past 2 years we've got family land in Gulfweight, I haven't shot anything because I've just sort of sitting out there, not because I'm like a hippie, I had 10 points on the feeder and stuff. It's not like I'm don't love eating good meat, but I'm like, man, I'm just enjoying being out here. It's not like my age, right? But like, you're sort of like, it's quiet.
Yep.
Like I can actually hear the deer like walking through the grass. I'm like, man, I just want to see what it does.
Yeah.
I'm just going to watch it. And then it starts to walk away. You're like, okay, maybe I should shoot it now. Now I've bonded with it. Not much, but I'm like, he'll come back around, right? I'll shoot him when he comes back around. Oh, he didn't? No big deal. You know, like I've always been a rifle hunter. I need to pick up archery. I think that would add the sport back into it.
Yeah, same. I'm in that rifle. I've gotten into reloading. I love everything about that. But then like my buddy brought a bow to the ranch. He's like, do you mind if I keep this here? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And just getting out there, I'm like, it's a whole nother element, man, and connection. I mean, like you said too, like there's a lot of times I'll sit there and just, watch the animals out there, whatever they may be, unless it's like a hog that shows up, then it's like, okay, you got to go.
You're dead meat. You're dead.
And then I'm going ahead and picking up the hog book. And actually, I know you've actually met Jesse Griffiths.
Oh, yeah.
And I think even maybe did some filming with him with Hugh Fitzsimmons, way back in the day on his like bison ranch. But that was, he's got the hog book now. So it's like anytime you take a hog, I'm always going through there and looking through recipes and stuff.
He was always saying, man, like wild hog, and his book proves it. Like wild hog is the key to the future and ending world hunger. We just can't get over the fact that they're kind of gross looking.
Yeah.
And like I've had wild hog sausage, but I guess that's all. What else do you do with wild hog? I need to buy his book. I haven't looked through it yet.
Man, there's
recipes, right? It's got 1,000 things.
There's so many, and it's kind of divided out too. And like if it's a this size boar or this size sow, but one of his favorite is a smothered chops, which is in his other book, A Field. But that's you're taking like the back straps basically, and you're chopping those up and you're doing some really awesome like overnight you're going ahead and putting them in this what's the specific
like
brine, and then you're cooking that low and slow in the oven in a crock pot, and it's just one of the most phenomenal things. I mean, the recipe calls for like I think it's like 10 onions that you're chopping up, so it kind of makes its own gravy. And that's one of my favorites, but I'll try almost anything with that too now. And that was kind of cool in that TV show I was telling you about in Rockdale too. Yeah. Jesse came and cooked, so he had 4 different hog dishes.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there like in my 8th plate. He's like, "How many tacos have you had, George?" I'm like, "Carry me to my car." Like,
don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Do you still love me, Meg? Yes, I still love you.
Okay.
But it's amazing. But yeah, we're gonna have to get you out to the ranch sometime, man. We got one in between Luling and Bastrop. And
say the word.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. It's
City Market in Luling afterwards. That'd be good.
Yes.
Too.
Okay. That is my favorite barbecue spot in all of Texas. And I mean, that is it. I've grown up going to, we have another ranch in Southwest Texas in Dimmitt County near Carrizo Springs. And that was our kind of like almost halfway stop out of Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, cut my teeth on barbecue there. And every single time I got like a trip with all my buddies that come down from, I went to school in Boston up at Northeastern University, and had 3 buddies that come down every other year. And literally we get in to the car. One of them brings the sandwiches from this famous deli up there, and we'll munch down on those. And then we haul butt up to Luling, and that is stop one every single time is City Market, man. Oh, dude, so good.
That's where I had my barbecue epiphany, so to speak.
Tell me about that.
Have you heard this? This is an idea, and it's funny. I knew what happened to me at City Market, and I didn't use those words, but I started talking to other people in the barbecue community, and it's a moment. So it's the moment you realize that barbecue is more than just sort of the thing that's served at family reunions or smothered in sauce or however you grew up eating barbecue. It's the moment you realize that it's like your eyes are opened, the heavens, the clouds part, the beam of light comes down, and you realize like, oh, I've been living in the dark, And so like pretty much, I mean, I've talked to Daniel Vaughn about this. Mm-hmm. He's the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly. Aaron Franklin, talked to him about this, talked to a lot of other people. And almost everyone has a moment when they realized barbecue was way more than they had believed. It's sort of like, they'd seen through a little tiny pigeonhole, and then all of a sudden it goes up because you try something and you're like, this is not the same. What is this? And that happened to me at Luling City Market. Going in there, getting baptized by that smoke in that room, that sauce, the sausage, the brisket, the ribs. I was like, okay, someone's been holding out on me my whole life. Who lied to me and told me that crap in Southeast Texas in a crock pot was barbecue? Because that wasn't barbecue. Yeah.
I've been fed lies. Yeah.
Lies. It's all lies. So anyway, mine happened at Luling City Market. It was just that moment. It's like, whoa, this is not like the other.
Oh, I've been on a brisket run for the last couple of years of trying to find the ultimate brisket recipe. And in fact, I got a sponsor, Horizon Smokers. The guys used to do Oklahoma Joe's, and then he sold that.
Yeah.
He's world famous. Roger is a world famous, barbecue pitmaster, and he's won a couple of world titles and stuff too.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
I've got the pit's being built and should be here within the next 2 weeks. So I'm have all these recipes of what I'm ready to do and share with the family.
You got to go kill a bunch of pigs and get it out, have them ready to go.
Well, I'm going to need to get a CrossFit workout myself, I think, because I have a lot of barbecue that's going to be, in my near future, man.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, speaking of barbecue, one of my buddies who kind of brought me into the brisket world, named Rob Sides, he had a rapid fire round. He wanted to ask you some questions here. So
let's do it.
Here we go. Corn or flour?
Oh, darn! It depends. If the place is making their own corn. If it's something out of a package, typically flour. If it's store-bought versus store-bought, flour.
Gotcha.
But if you're in a little tortilleria or a little Mexican joint and they're making their own corn all day. Corn.
Yes. Good answer. Tequila or beer?
Oh, shoot. If you ask tequila or bourbon, I'd say bourbon.
Oh, okay.
I love some good tequila. Tequila or beer. Depends on the day, man. I'm going to say beer.
Yeah.
There's more beer days than there are tequila days.
Fair enough. Boat or truck?
Truck.
Nice.
I love time on a boat, but there's only so many places you go on a boat.
That's right. And you need the truck to take the boat there anyway. Right?
Yeah, you can't have one without the other. Boat in my front yard is about, pretty useless.
It's true. So we got another one. Puffy, crispy, or soft taco?
Ooh, soft overall.
Okay. Boots or flip-flops?
Boots.
Beard or mustache?
Mustache. I would have a mustache, I guess. I'm just going full on mustache. You've got the reverse mustache pretty much.
Oh,
there.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and then I got even woke up the other morning and there was 50,000 more white hairs here. I know it's it's a wisdom thing. I tell my kids, thing. It's you got to listen to me. Look, I got all that stuff. It's wisdom hair.
I've grown a mustache for just a small period of time. It's amazing how different people treat you when you're the mustache guy.
Yeah.
And not in a good way. I grew a Fu Manchu out for a while just as, to rock it. And it's funny. I'm used to smiling at people, eye contact, all that. But when you're the Fu Manchu guy, people don't want to make eye contact with you. HEB checkers just keep their head down. Don't say anything. I'm like, this is weird. All because of the thing on my face. Why is everyone so mean to me today? And then I'd look in a mirror and be like, oh yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. My dad has it is a world famous mustache, but he can't grow anything over here. So I kind of when we go to meetings together, because we work together and have a financial advisory firm. And so we go to meetings and stuff. He's got that and I've got this. It's together we are this one, unit.
One mega beard.
He's got the eyebrows that kick out
Everybody's
too. I'm
good on their own, but yeah,
it works.
Awesome.
We're the team. All right, I got two more on the rapid fire. We got refried or charo beans.
Refried typically.
All right, and sea level or elevated?
Sea level.
Even though the mountains speak to you too.
Even though the mountains speak to me, sea level. That's I think I could live. I think if the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle is open and there's a job application for that, I think I could do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Fishing, the seafood. I mean, I grew up in Southeast Texas, so that humidity I got no problem with it. Like, let me sweat it out. I mean, you're from Houston, you get it. Like, there's something about that I'm like, I miss up here, in the dry lands. Not that Austin's that dry, but there's
different
a certain
climate.
kind of humidity.
Totally.
Down there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a few more questions before we go.
Oh, yeah.
One of the ones that was asked was, what is your favorite souvenir that you've picked up while you've been on the road and from the Daytripper, whether it's been gifted or something that you found at whatever type of shop? What is that favorite souvenir that you hold on to?
Oh, man. So I'm a souvenir guy, but not in the traditional sense. I find something, and if it makes me giggle, I'm going to buy it. Like, so it's all kind of dumb stuff, but like, I've got an affinity for bad old taxidermy, not good taxidermy. It's got to be like 100 years old and kind of like, if I ever need a laugh, just Google image bad taxidermy, you'll laugh. And so I found this fox in Frankston, Texas, that's 130 years old. 100. Yeah, no. Like, yeah, about 120 years old. And he was done so bad. His face is kind of crooked. His guts are opened up. He kind of smells bad. But like, we're all going to end up like that. He's a symbol of my mortality.
There you go.
Like, I love that stinking fox. And everybody comes in. He's displayed in the office because I can put whatever I want up and no one can tell me different. And so he's hanging out and they're like, oh, what is that weird thing? I've put him in some videos, like as my pet, like kind of like a Dr. Evil where I'm petting this weird taxidermied fox. He doesn't have a name though. Actually, that just occurred to me. He doesn't have a name yet. But he's one of my favorite souvenirs. Just little things that just like speak to me. I don't collect coins, but I was in this coin shop in El Paso, and there was a coin that was a $50 from 1845. That would be, it's a US $50. But that'd be the first year that Texas joined the United States. So that would be the first year that was Texas's currency. And I'm like, I've got to buy this. It's $50 for a $50. And I don't collect coins, but I'm like, something in me has to own this. I don't know why. So that's on my shelf. My shelf is just full of junk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like
got a story though.
Yeah,
all about stories.
Right. Well, I actually have a calendar that I'm going to have to send you now. I'm going to get this and gift this to you. It's called Effed Up Old Taxidermy. The guys at Meat Eater have that. It's over my shoulder here somewhere there. I kind of have it.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I love that stuff. It is amazingly horrible. It's like fascinating. Watching train wrecks, you're like, why with it? And I've had a few too. My dad loves armadillos. So I was at some like resale shop one day and I was like, what is that horrible armadillo taxidermy that I'm buying right now and giving it to him for Father's Day? It's like, it's one of those, and he loved it. It's every now I go to his house, I see that. I'm like, oh, that thing is amazingly horrible.
Amazing.
I love it's amazing. Love it. Love it.
Great.
So another question that I was curious about, and you kind of touched on this earlier about like how, you can't eat like you do in the shows all the time. But what is it that you eat tons of amazing food from all around Texas, but when you're at home, what are you cooking? Are you barbecuing? Is there something that you have that's your favorite that you make or that your wife makes that you just enjoy? And what is it that
like, okay. I a lot of guys say this, but very rarely now will I buy a steak out because the steaks I'm now cooking at home are kind of like too good,
Yep.
So it's hard to waste, $60-$75 at a very fancy steakhouse when I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that in my backyard. Like I'm reverse searing stuff, got a Traeger that I smoke it to a certain degree. Then I throw it over charcoal or I put it in the cast iron, even better with some finishing butter and stuff. I'm like, man, it just don't get no better than like that. That's perfect. So steak, gumbo, they're like Southeast Texas has a very particular style of gumbo that I have to make for myself because I can't find it around here. So, but gumbo, that's got to be a cold weather thing. So my wife and I, we both love to cook. I love to cook. Just, throw a few things together. My wife is the experimental cook. I'm typically like, there's a way to do that, which is weird, but I'm like, hey, there's a recipe. There's a reason they wrote the recipe like this. Like Jesse Griffiths has it in his book that this is the best carnitas, wild boar carnitas on the planet. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. My wife, oh no. Well, I thought maybe whatever, but she's a fantastic cook, but she's just like all intuition. And I'm all like, that's one of the few places in my life I'm like type A. Jesse told me this is the way to do it. So I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah.
And if I disagree, then maybe I'll change it the second time, but not the first time. And my wife, man, who knows? So she'll whip together all kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, what is this? She's like, I don't know. Just made it up,
That's awesome.
So we both do love to cook.
Cool, man. Cool. It's funny. My buddy, Matthew Mitchell, he's a co-host on a lot of the podcasts where he interviews, especially wild game chefs. And we got Jesse is another guest that'll be coming up here in the near future. And another guy he works with named Mason Huffman, who is the chef over at Jester King. Cool. So we're always talking about different recipes and trying different stuff out. And I'm always the one who adds something a little bit different because he wants to like try a recipe and then have me try it. And we do taste tests and see, is it like spot on? And he's like, why am I tasting citrus again? I'm like, I had an orange and I just wanted to try.
Dude, you're totally, that is my wife, 100%. I don't know. I just had it in.
It was here on the counter. Yeah. I had to try
that teriyaki sauce. Why is that in the chicken noodle soup? It sounded right.
It was there. I did it.
I know,
and it worked. It worked. Right.
It usually works. That's part of the thing. You can't falter too much.
Right. If it's tasty, otherwise.
But now I don't know how this recipe tastes.
Right.
So I don't know whether or not to scratch it off or adjust it because I've never made it. So now I got to make the recipe.
That's why I'm trying to like hone myself to like, okay, follow directions, George.
Follow directions. Follow directions, George. Follow directions. Follow directions. Yeah.
I'm working on it. Few more questions too. I had one was about your writing. I know that I've opened up some I think it's the Blue Bonnet Electric Co-op, and I think there was another one too that I've opened up with maybe the AAA. There's some things where I've seen I'm like flipping through and all of a sudden there's an article that you've written.
Boom. Again, one of these random things has popped up. So I do like writing. I write for Texas Highways every month, Texas Co-op Power every month. I've done some stuff with Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. I write for them about every quarter. And then there's a county magazine that comes out. So that's another that one's a weird one. That's the hardest one to have the discipline to sit down and do, though.
Yeah.
You just got to put your butt in the chair. I learned this in film school, and this has really stuck with me. It was Richard Linklater. He's a big film director, right? Yep. Very talented. The hardest part about writing is putting your butt in the chair.
Yes.
And like, gosh, so true. So true. So I do. It's fun. They're typically like, they're kind of like they dance with an episode. So there's the article, but I always want it to be just a little bit different. So I'll find another place maybe that didn't make the episode that I want to give some love to in the article. It's cool. Just a different way to,
expression.
Yeah. Express myself and
creativity.
And inspire people. Then ChatGPT is going to be doing it all for me anyway. So
I know, right?
Yeah. That's going to get a lot easier real quick.
Can you it's hard to imagine that growing up. And I mean, I got a buddy the other day. He's like, yeah, check it out. I built my website. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, yeah, I just threw ChatGPT on and it wrote it for me. And I'm like, that's wild. Like,
yeah, that is wild.
Because I like writing. I got, I do some hunting articles and stuff to the Texas Trophy Hunter, the Journal of, and got one coming out soon. But I remember like how long it took me to actually have the discipline to sit down, have the experience, and then write the story. And just, my buddy's like, yeah, I got this, you whipped out this 4,000, word essay on this. And I'm like, how? It feels like cheating. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. But it's, if you like, I once told ChatGPT to like write an article, write a 1,000-word article about the health benefits of drinking whiskey, but as a pirate. And it just, and if you tell it like to speak in a certain voice, it is so freakishly good. And it's hilarious because like it had all the puns and it had the little like quips. I was like, dang you, ChatGPT.
Oh, that is awesome. I hadn't really gone to that avenue of it yet too. So I'm definitely going to have to do that as well.
Tell it, like do it just and make a character, as a in the style of Daniel Day-Lewis from Gangs of New York. I guarantee you, it'll nail it.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen some that they've talked about. I think like Joe Rogan, and I forgot who else they said do an interview with, and it's just sounded like identical, the same kind of jokes and quips and things that you're like, wow.
That's just wrong.
It's wild,
that's
man.
Wrong. We got to figure out how to navigate this. I mean, it ain't going away.
Nope.
That's what the world is struggling with right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like videos that people can make where someone, like there could be some day where, here's Chet talking about something and it's like, that was not me recording or saying that, but
I know.
But it can be done now.
Dude,
like
you've got enough of your imprint of your voice. You've said every word in the English language almost. So like just bloop, 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 upload George Blitch. It's going to be weird.
It will be. It will be. And this, just for everyone who's listening, this is not a Chat GPT or AI simulated event. We are actually live talking.
Because the AI told us to say that. That's why. Yeah.
What a wormhole, man.
It is. Totally is.
Well, not using Chat GPT, do you have any plans to put out a book? Is that something that's in your
I've always wanted to put out a book. Again, it's just that discipline of putting your butt in the chair. I actually wrote with one of my former employees. She's one that moved away during COVID. Lindsay. We wrote a whole first transcript of a travel book. Boom, lots of time. And then, they sort of set around. So I need to pick that back up. I want to write a half travel, half like stories from the road kind of hybrid book with some good photography and stuff. So I every year at the beginning of the year, I write that down and then, whatever, it doesn't happen. So I need to, that's one of the things like, you don't find time, you make time. Yep. I got to make time to do it.
And that's a tough one too, because at the same time, all the things you're doing now and all your experiences, they're enriching what that future book will be. It's like, you got to live those things, got to go to those places to be able to do it. So you are still contributing to it, even though you're maybe not sitting down.
All up here. Yeah.
At least that's what I tell myself to make myself feel better when I got
right. I'm just building.
I'm just living. L-I-V-I-N. That's right. Yeah. So speaking of sayings there, at the end of your show, you were saying "Vayo con Dios, amigos," which means "Go with God, my friends." And I remember I read that.
Proud of you for knowing that. Some people go like,
"What is he saying? What did he call me?" Yeah, no. But you talked about and I really love this. You said that it wasn't about that you were trying to preach that to somebody, but it was what came from your heart to share. And I thought that was pretty, really a great thing, that how you express that. And I wanted to just have you expand on that a little bit more. Where did you hear this saying? And like, how did that become a part of your, vocabulary in the show?
It really wasn't too intentional. I mean, I wanted to find a way to sign off on the show. Mm-hmm. And that was just a phrase that kind of always stuck with me. The idea, right? Go with God, my friends. I mean, it's a old Spanish blessing, was said in Texas, has been said in Texas for centuries. And I was like, well, man, that's cool. Because it kind of if you want to just take it as a slang phrase, that's fine. But if you want to take it as where I intend it to be, it's a blessing. Kind of like, Roy Rogers, until we meet again, kind of ride the trails till we meet again. So it's like, Vaya con Dios, amigos. Like, I really do see that the people who are watching the show, that it seems strange, but there's a friendship there. There's a trust that we have with each other. And while I don't see them physically, I know they're there and I'm aware of them. And they are my friends if you're turning on the show. So it's a blessing that I get to speak over the people watching, and that, they will go with God, that they'll walk closely with him and they'll find his blessings there too. So, it's kind of a sly way because a lot of people don't know what it means. But for me, it's a very intentional way to sort of sign off the show.
Yeah. Well, I love it, man. And thanks for sharing that. And, I was kind of thinking along lines of like, the idea of like signing off, like there is going to be a day where, we both leave this earth, and I wanted to know, what is that like? What does it look like in your head for what you want your legacy to be leaving behind, spiritually, as a family man, as far as your show?
Yeah. These are the most important questions I think we consider in life, right? Like, more than just what am I doing cool? What cool stuff am I doing? Because you and I both get a lot of opportunities to do cool stuff. but that's not what it's about. It's about like, what difference am I making here on earth? Because life's not just about entertaining ourselves. That's just hollow at the end of the day. And I've done some amazing stuff, met some amazing people, won some amazing awards. And I can be the first to tell you that like, it's just kind of hollow when it happens. If you build it all up, that you're going to get to this pinnacle, and that's going to it's all just sort of going to pay off and crystallize in a moment. That's fake. That's a lie. It won't. And you just look at all the people who came before us, who've won Super Bowls, who've gone, wait, that was it? I thought I'd feel different, or win Oscars and go, oh, so it's not about the destination. It's about the journey as we go. And I know that's sort of another coffee cup saying, but it is so incredibly true that if we live our life to get to a certain place, we may get there, we may not, but what will certainly happen is we will miss all the things, the wonderful things that happened to us. We will neglect the people that we walked over to get there. We will have taken for granted the people that loved us along the way that we were just too busy to see. And so, I hope that as far as the Daytripper goes, that the memories we're helping facilitate for families will infinitely surpass any value that the show itself brought.
Yeah.
Because if all I'm doing is giving people more couch potato fodder, like that's lame. I don't want to do that. I want to actually inspire them to go out there. Little story. One time I had a couple come up to me and they were like, Chet, you saved us so much money. It was at some meet and greet. You saved us so much money. I'm like, what do you mean I saved y'all money? They're like, Chet, you don't understand. We've been saving for 5 years to go to Disney. And when we finally asked our kids, hey, do y'all want to go to Disney World like we planned? They thought, no, let's just make our summer vacation. Let's just do all those things that the Daytripper does. And so instead of going to Disney, they went to the Panhandle, Palo Duro, and saw all these things that I'd included on the Daytripper. And they're like, Chet, that is the best family vacation we have ever had. And at that point, I was like, that's it. That is the best compliment you could give me, is that you did the things that I recommended, and it facilitated a bonding, right, with y'all. So that's what I want. I want the memories that the families we make on the road, or whoever it is, individuals, the impact of being in these places is far surpasses the value of the show. And then as far as my family, like, I want them more than anything to have a deep personal relationship with Jesus. That's it. So like all the stuff we're doing, I want them to be strong. I want them to know that they're worthy. I want them to know I want to make them capable. I want to make them rugged in the tough world. But more than that, like, I think all those things could flow out of a faith, a true actual faith in Jesus. So it's like, you could try to get those things and you may or may not, but if you get this one thing, those things are kind of flow out of it. So that's it. If nobody remembers me, I'm okay with it.
Well, that's not going to happen, man. I know that you've reached so many people and you've inspired so many folks. I mean, we were just watching your show the other day, and my daughter Ellie turns to me and goes, "Can this be our show? Can we go and do these things?" Like it's like awesome. It is. It's our family show, man, and it's like it's something that it's a wholesome experience. Your genuineness and your passions come through. They leave a mark in people's lives and they watch it. All the work that you're doing, you're going out and, being a part of all these amazing organizations. I really appreciate what you're doing and what you're giving back, and, being your authentic self, and what that provides is a lot of insight, happiness, and joy in a lot of people's lives. And I know that, it's a blessing to have you on here, man. I really, really appreciate it. Just as we sign off, I kind of like to have you tell folks where they can follow you and learn more about what you're doing, your show, the app, everything. Let's lay it all out here so we can tell folks where to go.
Man, thank you so much for the encouragement, brother.
You're welcome.
TheDaytripper.com, The Daytripper. Don't forget TheDaytripper.com. It'll be the kind of the gateway to everything.
Yep.
You can find me on social media, but of course, all that's linked on TheDaytripper.com. So I'd start there.
Okay. We'll definitely send folks there. Chet, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
It's been an honor, man. Honor's all mine, brother.
Oh, well, it's mine. It's mine. It's yours. It's mine. Well,
No, come on, man.
we'll
No,
share it.
don't
We'll
you
share
dare
it.
take
We'll
that
share
from
it.
me.
It's mine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. We'll definitely have to get together, get you out to the ranch.
Yeah, let's do it in person. We'll cook some hogs.
I look forward to that. Cool, man.
Great,
Well, you have a good one, man.
Bye con Dios, amigo.
Bye con Dios, amigo.